What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 31 of the Jadacast podcast. So we thought that it would be nice to change up the scenery a little bit. So we're here in our beautiful, scenic warehouse. And
it is scenic.
It is pretty scenic.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. I would compare it to like a small version of Costco. That's like how big our warehouse is.
Yeah, it's fair. I can say that.
Yeah.
I mean, even a small version of like a Walmart superstore, maybe. Because this may be a Target.
It didn't have the ambiance of a Target.
No.
I was just there last night. I love Target. Target's cool, man.
Well, you know what? I was about to say something, but as a B2B company, we work with a lot of people, so let me not say anything mean. Yeah. But so here we are. I'm Jordan.
I'm Mike.
I'm Daryl.
And so we have a few topics today that we would like to get going on. So as some of you are familiar, so Jada Toys is celebrating its 20th year anniversary.
Yes,
This
20
year,
years.
20 years in the game. And we have a very special lineup of cars that we're releasing to highlight our 20 years. And we're going to go through our first wave of those cars. So for wave one of our 20th anniversary, I don't know if you guys can see them on the floor here, but we got what do we have? We got four brands. So we got option D with a 370Z, Custom Kings
350Z.
Oh, excuse me, 350Z. I always get those two mixed up. And everyone knows by now how much that I hate 350, 370Z drivers.
That's my car.
Yo, this guy is like always on Facebook now. On like, what section of Facebook is it where like you're able
Marketplace?
to buy? Yeah, like the
Marketplace.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he's just browsing these piece 350Zs, 370Zs, and
Respect the Z, dude. Respect the Z and what it's done for what you love.
you see,
Same family.
yes, but the Z is kind of like the extended family for me. The GTR is more so the bloodline that I fall from.
Nice.
Wow.
Same brand.
I'm
Same
being
brand.
super elitist right now.
You kind of are.
Yeah, just a bit.
The GTR is my big brother. The Z is just my distant cousin. But anyways, so we have a 350Z.
Yep.
We have a 64 Impala from our Street Low line. From Hero Patrol, we have a
Tahoe?
Chevy Tahoe. Mm-hmm. I forget which year is the Chevy Tahoe.
Oh, it's like a 08, something like that.
08 Chevy Tahoe.
Around there, or I forget which one it is.
And last but certainly not least, we have from our brand, Custom Kings. And this is help me out here, Mike.
Tow truck?
Tow truck.
It's a Chevy tow truck.
A Chevy tow truck. Well, nothing special. But so we found a way to make it look special.
Well, it is special because that Chevy tow truck is the first casting that we did that was in this. I don't know what's the word. It was like actually our very first casting that we actually made. A lot of people think that it's the Chevy Astro van, but from the Dub City line. But that was the first custom vehicle that we did. But this step side, or not the step side, but originally it was a step side, but it's a tow truck. When we did this tow truck, it was in stock form, and that was one of the first diecast Jada toys was made. So that's why we are commemorating it in the 20th anniversary.
We put the little Jada flair to every single one.
Yep.
And so what inspired the style of all of these brands?
Well, the style came from the guys who originally started, building these or designing these cars for Jada Toys. Mm-hmm. Like all these guys from the past are, that look and that feel. We try to keep that going throughout the line as much as possible. Yeah. So, it's those guys that paved the way for Jada Toys and that Jada style. and that's what we're trying to keep up with. Our design team here now today, and actually Say, who is one of our designers now, is part of that original group.
Yeah.
So it's not too far off.
Yeah, like he's OG.
Yep.
Yeah, and but especially with the titles of what these brands are, you're sort of able to get a gauge on the style of car that you will get from each brand, but and so my question is, and so what inspired you guys to maybe choose these particular cars for that particular brand? To represent our 20th.
It's kind of hard because when you have like we're trying to represent 20 different brands that Jada has gone throughout the years, and we don't want to duplicate, but we want a car that represents that brand wholly and honestly. So of course the Street Low line is not Street, so Custom Kings. The Custom Kings line actually came from like the innovators of that custom look, like George Barris, those type of people. We had the kind of look, and it it's sort of it stems from Hot Rod, but it's just like this cool cruiser type vehicle, and the way we wanted to commemorate it is with our first casting. So that's why it's in the first wave. With the Street Low, with the Impala, I mean, come on, it's an Impala.
You can
still see these cars rolling down Whittier Boulevard here in California. And then the pinstriping and everything is classic Street Low style.
Gangster.
Yeah. And then
option D is a Z, enough said.
Yeah.
So Daryl, tell us about why we went with the 350Z for option D, since you love it so much.
Enough said, dude. It was one of the headliners in that line. 350Z is an iconic tuner car. It's sporting the Veilside wide body kit. It's got the little Jada flair to it. I mean, I love everything about it. Personally speaking, Mike can speak to the design elements.
Oh yeah, well the design elements are option D was the offshoot of Import Racer. Import Racer was originally a magazine that we partnered up with to when we brought out this import line of diecast vehicles. So option D was our version of when drifts first started coming into fashion out here. I think we were a little early with the drift style, but I think it's right now it's actually hitting really big and it's lasting because I mean, how long has drift been going on now? I mean, it's had a steady growth for I want to say
over 10 years, I think.
More than that. Yeah. I want to say even like
at least
15, 20 years. Yeah. I mean, ever since just like out here, at least before it was just drag racing, and then it went into drifting and more motocross type stuff, but the drift scene has just started, kept growing and growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
I mean, so much so that Formula D is taking it overseas now, from what I hear.
Yeah. All over the world.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All over the world. Yeah. But you know what? I give
perfect drift car, by the way.
I was just about to say, I give a lot of crap to Z drivers, especially when they're in my rearview mirror.
This guy.
The world hasn't heard what I would love to do to a Z.
Tell us.
Story for another time.
You know what? He'll show up next week with one. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, but as much crap as I talk about Z's, I will acknowledge that they have been the driving force in the tuner world and making it more and more popular here stateside. And yeah, it's done a lot.
Well, me and Daryl have been talking about it like a little bit here and there, and we think it's like
just the other day, actually.
Yeah. We both think this is like the ultimate project car that you can pick up pretty inexpensive, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it, and not have to spend a ton of money because there's a ton of parts. This car is you can get it pretty cheap here these days because there's so many of them out there.
Yeah.
So I expect to see a lot more of them on the street.
So what exactly made this car? So why is this car on the pinnacle as opposed to maybe like other cars from that same time frame that could have been in its position, S15 or R34 or so and so.
I don't know. For me, I kind of just view it as like it's got a pretty nice heritage to it. But when you think about cars that really cemented their own legacy in a way, like the way the GTR did, right? Or maybe even I think that the Z's in particular just have like a certain following to them. For me, I didn't grow up in the time of the 240, 280 Zs, the classic Datsuns.
Yeah.
But I can look back and definitely appreciate them. I grew up with the 350Z, which is why I feel like I have such a affinity for that car. 350Z and G35. And then, as you both know, I ended up owning a G37, which is from that same VQ platform anyway.
Yeah.
At the time, I just felt like the 350Z was just more raw in its sport driving aspect, where the G35, G37 was more like the blend of luxury / sport compact kind of feel.
Yeah.
So that's what I personally associate with it and why I liked it. Plus, I had a high school friend that got a G35 for his first car. I was really jealous.
So for me, it's more like when I was growing up, the cars that the affordable car was a Civic. So everyone was buying Civics and fixing them up. And when someone had a 370 or 350Z, we were like, well, that's a sports car. That's a true sports car.
Yeah.
They got money.
Yeah. And we couldn't, and like we're young. We didn't have a lot of money. We were working part-time jobs at, a local fast food restaurant trying to, make ends meet and buy the Civic, a used Civic or something. But when someone had a 370Z or 350Z, I keep saying 370, he got me on that kick. It was like, wow, that's a true sports car. So now, we're a little older. We have a little more money to play with. I think that's one of the cars that people will want to pick up because they couldn't get it when they were younger.
Plus, I'm watching Tokyo Drift and I see DK's like this dude in like a wife beater and he's like the it guy and he's got this exact 350Z with the kit. And I'm like, yeah, I want one.
Okay, shameless plug, but so we also have made his 350Z.
We did.
So be sure to go out and try to cop that while it's still there. So what would you guys do to it in real life as a project car?
No, I guess we're going to spill the beans on that.
Well, it's not like you have done it yet.
Yeah. No, I mean, my ideal scenario would just to be, it's funny because Mike and I were talking about it the other day, to pick one up, salvage title or not, because, I mean, it's going to get cut into and all that stuff. I would love to LS swap it, for one. So I don't know if the whole rear view mirror thing is going to be a thing after that. I'd probably throw a Rocket Bunny kit on it, throw some air suspension on it, put an obnoxious wing in the back, set it on air ride. Maybe a sequential shifter inside, because I've always wanted one of those.
Yeah, those are dope.
Strip the interior, full race car, dude. Totally.
And so next year, this is probably about to happen.
Yeah.
No, I got another project to work on.
Yeah. Hey, why do people... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to go back to the 20th anniversary, and I want to let people know about this tile that's included in the box.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of historical play within the 20th line. And in addition to like the vehicles that were chosen in design, we also made sure to include some different collectible elements.
Yeah, so like like along the lines of our Hollywood rides, where we include either a figure or some kind of collectible piece that goes along or is added into the package, we're adding what we're calling a mosaic tile. And if you know what a mosaic is, it's pretty much a puzzle that you put together. And what it does is when you collect all 20 pieces, the mosaic will make a timeline of all the brands that were throughout the years of Jada's 20 years. So collect them all. Each one has on one side has the timeline, and if you flip it over, it has the logo of that brand car that you just picked up. So if you buy the option D, it has the option D logo there inside of the package with the vehicle. If you want it just like that, that's cool. But if you want to collect them all, you can complete the whole set and make that whole timeline and make it like a little display piece like we have here on the left side.
For those that are watching, it's on
for those that
Jordan's left shoulder.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And they're 100% die cast. They look really cool when they're all together. It's a really nice piece, especially for you collectors out there.
Yeah, super cool. The unique thing about them too is those tiles, as well as the cars that you find in every single offering within the 20th line, they're all finished in a nice like brushed metal finish.
Yep.
So that's a really cool collector piece right there in and of itself. And that's how you can kind of distinguish or differentiate those cars that are in the 20th line, as opposed to the mainline items.
Yeah, one of the things that we've started doing with not only our vehicles but also our figure line is that when you see a raw metal piece, that's typically either a chase or some kind of limited edition version. So we're trying to keep that theme going with this line.
Yeah, so you're really incentivized to collect all 20.
Yeah,
now,
I mean,
because
if you're one of the super fans, yeah, I think so. I think it's you got to get 2 of each. So when you keep one, you keep in the package, and one you can open up and complete that little mosaic.
Yeah, there's like a collector, like completist aspect to this, because how are you only going to rock with, like, I don't know, 4 tiles?
Yeah, I mean, you can
with all this open space here.
Well, I mean, we can do a giveaway for the little display
the
case, and if we do that and you get it, how are you gonna do it with only completed with 4?
It's kind of like those quarters. The every state has their own quarter.
Yeah, but it makes you want to finish it.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so every state has its own quarter.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Wow. I don't walk around with chump change.
Oh,
Miss 60. I'm too good for Z over here.
I'm totally kidding. Kind of. Yeah. So 20th anniversary. Go out and get that. So
on shelf now, I believe. Yeah.
Walmart.
Exclusively at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Send us your pictures of everything that you guys have. And
I'd like to see like what they look like, because they're supposed to be displayed pretty nicely over at the Walmart. So take a picture, send it over to us. We'd like to see what they look like around the country, because out here they know we're out here, so they kind of try to make it nicer.
For when we show up.
We'll repost to our social channel.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
And you know what? If you collect all of them, probably send you the display case here for it.
If we have them here, but we'll send you something.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a cool piece. The display case right here, it's all acrylic. It holds each piece nicely. You can flip it around so you see either the timeline, or the other side was just all the collection of the different brands.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, yeah, and so apart from us being, apart from us being a diecast company, because we're not just that, so we're actually a full blown toy company.
You know what? I'm mistaken. I forgot. I messed up. The backside, if you complete the timeline, is a logo. It's the 20th anniversary logo. So that's what the mosaic completes. On one side it's the timeline with every logo of the 20 cars, or the 20 brands, and then the other side is the 20th anniversary logo.
Yeah.
So my bad.
So if you only collect 4,
you're gonna get like a corner of the logo.
Yeah.
And it'll look really weird, so don't do that.
Yeah,
give us all your money. Yeah. So back to this. And so a lot of people are actually pretty surprised to find out that we're not just a die-cast toy company, but we're actually a full-blown toy company. And this is something that we've been working on for a lot of years now. Mm-hmm. And so obviously, if you're coming from something that is your bread and butter, but then you're having to acquire a new skill. So what are some of the challenges that you guys have faced when it comes to stepping out of that realm and then stepping into a bigger arena, as far as being a full-blown toy company? So some of the challenges that you guys have to face.
Speak from the marketing perspective. I think one of the challenges is that you're basically talking, okay, we're so like our 20-year anniversary, right? So we've been around for 20 years. Maybe the last 7 of those years, 8 maybe, was us really just kind of getting our foot in the door and then solidifying ourselves as a full-fledged toy company that kind of encompasses different categories. And one of the challenges in particular is like when you're so rooted into the die-cast collector space, kind of like what you touched upon, that becomes the perception that Jada is just die-cast and collector. And so then when you're introducing new brands or new categories, I don't know that I would call it backlash, or maybe the reception to it from your collector base. It's not what they're accustomed to.
Ooh, yeah.
So if we pull out like hey, check out our Hello Kitty, our Disney Junior, or something like radio
what?
control
Yeah.
for preschool, let's say radio control. They're like, what is this? Jada's lost their way.
They sold out.
Yeah, or and then it trickles into kind of talking about how our diecast, how it's affected our diecast execution, because either we're not focused on it or what, it becomes its own thing. So from a marketing perspective, I think that's been one of the challenges. We're getting there. I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job at figuring it out.
Yeah. I mean, we've really brainstormed how we can separate it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, because we've built such a fan base in the diecast realm in social media, we don't want to start throwing in all the toy stuff. So we try to kind of keep it separate as much as possible.
We want to. I mean, we truly value the community for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why we, love to engage with it. Which is why we're doing things like this, right? As another avenue for them to interact with us, and things like that. But also from a licensing perspective, the perception of other companies, like entertainment companies that look at us, are just like, diecast radio control vehicles, let's keep them in this category. That's another challenge too.
Yeah, so on product development side, it's really difficult. But we started a long time ago to start to pave the way for us to become more of a toy company. I want to say it was way back when we did the Halo video game diecast and figures, and this is like the really early precursor to Hollywood Rides. And we did plastic action figures that were I want to say not 1/64 scale, maybe 1/43 scale, and they were articulated. They were pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that kind of put us on the map. That kind of was a stepping stone for us to get more toyetic type product. And that led to our master toy license for the RoboCop line. Yeah, for the new RoboCop movie line. And our product, I think, came out great. They looked awesome. The action figures were cool. We did the, your typical 6-inch, 4-inch action figure,
Role play.
The role play. We did a large scale action figure with light and sound, RC, and a bunch of cool stuff. Then from there we started dabbling in girls products,
Hello Kitty,
and dolls with our Cutie Pop line. So there's a lot of things that we started moving into. But you know what? Our expertise was always diecast, so we kind of always reverted back to diecast when things went up and down. Because which way are you going to go? There's two things. When the economy starts going bad, you either revert to your what you're comfortable with, or you diversify. And we kind of did both a little bit during that time. And and I think that's one of the reasons why we're still around, is because we were able to sustain our business. And I think a lot of it had to do with the diversification. But we always kept that diecast part of it as the main thread throughout all our products that we do. Like even with our Hollywood Rides, everything has that diecast element in it. But now that with the acquisition that we touched upon last week, now we're able to spread our wings a little more and go beyond that.
Yeah. And so that is also what kind of an interesting thing to keep in balance too, is because I've always heard very successful people say it's always a split down the middle. And so if they'll either say, hey, but you need to stick to one thing and master it. Well, lock it down and become the best there, and then which will be a success. But then on the other side, but they'll always say too that, but you need to spread out, diversify, gain a lot of skills in other areas, and then which will be successful. And so it's kind of like, how do you walk that fine line, or how do you know when it's time to walk that fine line or break those rules?
It's tough. And my education background is graphic design, and I would follow all these high-end designers, and some of them would have their specific style. And I remember there's one designer, Margot Chase. She has this really gothic looking style. She was white hot at one point. We know with Charmed and the Interview with a Vampire. She was doing all the logos and all that because of her specific style. Because she had that style down pat. Now that style has kind of gone away and nobody's looking for it. how is she's not on the top of everyone's mind anymore because she doesn't have that's nobody is looking for that style anymore.
Interesting.
She did Prince and New Power Generation. I mean, she was doing really high end projects, and but now I don't see her doing as much anymore because that look isn't in. So it's
and I think with business in general, it's important for every business to be able to have the ability to evolve. So you can be adept at one thing, and so for us, if you want to throw us into the category of diecast and radio control, that's our expertise, and that's what we're very knowledgeable about. But we really try and expand that into other, let's say, categories or product offerings, as much as we can. But in trying to get into, like preschool or dolls or whatnot, we also recognize that we have to continue to keep pushing forward as a company to take steps in that right direction. So we bring in the right people with that knowledge, with that expertise, knowing that that's not our strong suit, but maybe these people, are able to guide us down the right path with their experience. And over time, then we kind of develop, our what that category requires from us, and things like that. So we never want to say like we're going to give up on diecast and radio control. Definitely not.
No.
Yeah,
we stay strong in that category.
Yeah.
But now, because we've got such a hold on it, now that affords us the ability to kind of go out and look at different categories and how we can develop ourselves within these new categories.
Yeah, diecast is our foundation. That's where we know and we play in, whether it's figures or vehicles. But that foundation gives us the luxury to be able to try new things in different categories. If they work, that's even better. It's icing. If it doesn't work, we still have our foundation, and we're really strong with that. So we have. I think we're in a very good position, especially now. Because we have a lot of backing with the Simbadicki group. So
yeah. So if you were to give somebody advice, what you would say to establish a foundation first into one thing, and then once that is solid, you have something to move on in order for you to be able to diversify.
I kind of look at it, well, it depends, right? Because there's two paths that you can go down with this question. You could go down the path of, like, if you're an individual person, acquiring a skill.
Yeah.
And then you can develop yourself as an individual person. Or you're going to look at it from the perspective of the business, where you're proficient in one area of a business, but kind of like what we were talking about, the goal is to always expand and continue to grow. And with that comes like the business plans of, you have your 3-year plan, your 5-year plan, all that stuff, and how you're going to continue to grow and expand. So I think there's two ways to look at it. I think from a business perspective, to have a true foundation of what you're good at, kind of like what Mike was alluding to, where diecast for us is always like our baseline. And as long as we take care of that, don't ignore it, it's a nice backbone for us as far as business, which allows us then to go out and expand into other product categories.
Interesting. I get that. Totally. Well, and then to expand upon that further, and so obviously, when we're trying to market or to make product for a diecast car, it's obviously very easy for us as far as just our process, the mentality of it. It's very easy to get into that type of mode. But now that we're more of a well-rounded toy company, is it harder now to try to get into that mindset to to make a doll or to make a preschool offering with that same type of enthusiasm? You know what I mean? Because if you told me I have to market a Supra, I'm all for it. But if you told me I have to market some type of Hello Kitty offering, which is cool and all, but me, I'm a guy, masculine, I don't know too much about it. It would be very harder. Well, Maybe I am a Hello Kitty. Whatever. Anyways, but like, it would be kind of hard for me to get into like, the mindset of like, okay, how do I get very creative with this? So have you guys had those challenges?
Yeah, I think that's natural.
Yeah.
You have to bring yourself down to that level to understand the mentality and perspective. But how I look at it is just kind of like being a student of it all, really. To understand like where the trends are going relative to your industry, and how you can impact that. Because at the end of the day, what it does for you, I think, is it expands your overall individual portfolio of your broad understanding within the toy industry in and of itself. So yeah, for any of us, I'm pretty sure we can all be like, oh, that's easy. Yeah. We know that like the back of our hand. But sometimes the best way to grow is to challenge, right? Find that challenge, find unique and creative ways of how you can do it. So, I mean, you and I have run into this since we've acquired the license, but Ryan's World, he's what, 7-year-old kid or something like that? Yeah. 8-year-old, he's getting older, but he's like the biggest YouTube kid reviewer, kid influencer, whatever you want to call him.
Sensation.
Yeah. But when I'm there watching his YouTube videos, or trying to watch his YouTube videos, it's hard for me to understand because we're just not in that different. We're in a different mindset.
That
or mentality.
Generation is like, why is that generation so into that kind of stuff?
So
we don't understand it.
For us, we're watching that. We're like, oh my gosh, we have to sit through 10 minutes of this. But then you once you're able to peel that back, and then you try to understand why, and then you kind of tailor different strategies to it. I think that's where it becomes pretty fun. Because now it's no longer, you've already got that previous part of trying to understand out of the way. Yeah. Now you're trying to develop a creative, strategic approach different from what we know.
Yeah, and that's what like you said, making it fun is that's what it does.
Yeah.
It brings you out of your routine a little bit. That's
your comfort zone in a way.
That's exactly the same reason why we like to go out to shows and do things and come do a podcast outside, maybe, because it just changes up the environment. It breaks it up a little bit and it keeps it interesting. Because if we're doing the same thing day in and day out, and we get a handle on it and we're professionals at it, it becomes mundane. It's boring after a while. But because of these new things that are coming through, it allows us to change it up a little bit.
And that is more along the lines of the individual aspect to the question that you were asking beforehand, right? It's just as an individual, because we can stick with what we know and what we're comfortable with all day, and we can get really, really good at it. But again, to your own individual resume, you can continue to add and expand within that category or field. Yeah. So in this case, I'm just speaking purely from a marketing perspective, right?
So now from a different perspective, when you're hiring people, you kind of have an idea of where you want the company to go. So when you hire people, you kind of think about, okay, I need a person who knows vehicles, but then also probably has some experience with preschool toys or action figures or pop culture. So you look at that kind of person to bring in, so they can bring that knowledge and that experience with them. So it's not that transition from doing one thing to something totally new is not as harsh. It eases into, because you're able to tap into that person's experiences and knowledge. So especially with like designers, like the designers we have here, we have people who are car guys, some people who aren't. Like for example, June, when he came in, he was just a toy designer who did action figures, and he didn't know cars so much, but he was able to learn it enough. But now that and he comes into a toy company that's all about cars. But now that he is, we're expanding into more action figure type stuff, he can bring that knowledge that he learned in school and use it to help our development for that category.
Yeah, it's very valuable. Wow. Well, I'm really glad that I'm not in charge of hiring, because I would just be like, hey, so are you a fan of Maserati? And if they say yes, then I'm like, not hiring.
Do you like 350Zs?
Yeah. He doesn't know what's the right answer, but I'm just giving him that look. Oh, that'd be horrible.
So I mentioned June. June is the director of product development for the figures and preschool and some girl products and things that we should bring him on one time.
Yeah, we'll have him
He's
on
comfortable
eventually.
with it.
Yeah, he's a little quiet. Like he's not quiet, but when he talks like this.
His voice is literally 3 times as deep as Vin Diesel's voice.
Yeah, but just a lot more quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy. We got to bring that.
He's
sound
a
clip.
character.
Yeah,
He's a character.
Definitely. Well, that's all I have for today's episode, guys. But you have anything else that you want to add?
No, I think I'm good.
Comic-Con?
Comic-Con again? Yeah. I guess Comic-Con.
3 weeks.
Yeah,
I think,
Coming
yeah,
on
3 weeks.
Jeez.
man.
Yeah.
So we have Comic-Con.
So don't forget that
Yeah.
that for Comic-Con, we will be selling an exclusive Black Chrome animated series Batmobile.
Yep.
124 scale. Diecast figure. Comes in pretty neat collector packaging. It's going to be pretty cool.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, we'll be showing a lot of new product at Comic-Con as well. First time people are going to be able to see some of these things in public.
Yeah.
And which includes 4-inch, right? 4-inch diecast.
Metal figs.
Metal
Yeah. For
figs.
every collector out there that's been following us for our 4-inch, 6-inch figures, we're going to have a lot of new things to show out there. So that's pretty exciting.
Yep.
And again, I said it last week, and some of y'all didn't pay attention. Don't put our stuff on eBay.
It's already on eBay. They don't even have it in hand. They're already saying
It's kind of cool, though. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, to know that secondary market is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I posted it, or as it's been posted on social media, all my friends have been hitting me up, and they're not like collectors of this kind of stuff. They're like, "Yo, this is a pretty cool piece. You gotta get me one." I'm like, "I can't get you one. You gotta buy it, dude."
Yeah.
We only got 300.
Yeah.
Okay, 300. All right.
Spread out across 4 days,
4 days,
right?
4
Yeah.
days.
Is that
Yep.
5 with preview?
So we
Preview
are
night?
selling on preview.
Yeah.
So the so far the deal is we're selling on preview night. We're going to sell all week. If they move too quickly, we're going to throttle it back and put a limit on how many are sold per day.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more details to forthcoming, but
Yeah.
Well,
we're getting there. We're excited. It's personally one of my favorite shows that we do in the year.
yeah.
I mean,
so,
I think it's cool to be around that kind of atmosphere. I love the San Diego area anyway. So
Definitely.
I'm there.
Yeah, I plan to be wearing my my short shorts and tank top because San Diego summertime, it's hot out. So they're not that but they're gym shorts, but they look good. Whatever, you guys know what I'm saying.
If you're into dangling berries.
Oh my god.
Says the guy that got a He-Man
loincloth.
fanny pack.
I should do an episode.
You should.
Get that on, with just that on. That'd be hilarious. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Mike.
Daryl.
Jordan. Subscribe. See you next week. Bye. Boss, I just had the greatest idea. What? Casted by Jada Toys. It's a show where we invite people out who have real cool cars, review that car, and if we think it's worthy enough to be casted by us, we'll add it to the Jada Toys lineup in diecast form. What do you think?
Honestly, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Get out of my office. Hey boss, I have this great idea. So we're gonna start a new show.